Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty a Knitting Podcast. I am your host, Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, Tatum and Delaney, our tuxedo kitty, Lilu, and a new member of the family. Now, I had already recorded this entire podcast a couple of days ago, but we got our new member yesterday, and so I decided that I should re-record, and so I could introduce you to Sophie. Hang on just a second, let me get her. Meet Sophie. Look here, Sophie. She's still a little shy, and she is very loving. She likes to snuggle. We got her yesterday at a rescue, and we weren't planning on getting a dog. I mean, we were looking at dogs for a dog for the future, but we weren't planning on getting a dog last night. However, I completely fell in love with her, and she fell in love with us, and so we brought her home last night. They told us she's a Schnauzer mix, but I don't see very much Schnauzer in this dog. She's got some extra furs here, a little bit of a mustache, but not much else looks Schnauzer-like, and her ears are very tall. And so we're not really sure what kind of dog she is, but she's stinking cute. That's what I know. So I'm gonna let Delaney take her back downstairs, and yeah, there you go. Now, some of you may be asking how Lilu is handling all of this, and I am very happy to say that she is taking it very well. She's very interested in Sophie, but not aggressive, which is good. There's been lots of following the dog around, and sniffing her, and checking out her food and stuff like that. But she hasn't growled or anything. She's hissed a little bit, and there was one moment where Sophie moved a little bit too fast for Lilu, and there was a bit of a batting on the nose. But yeah, they're actually been getting along really well. Sophie is young. She is like 5 months old, is what the rescue told us. We're not sure exactly. We got to take her into the vet to get her spayed and checked out and whatnot. And so we'll find out a little bit more about her, hopefully a little bit more about her breed as well. I mean, I know that she's a mix of something, but I kind of see more terrier in her than I do Schnauzer. But yeah, so I realize this has nothing to do with knitting really, but I did want to say that I am having a destash of some yarn to kind of offset some of the costs of Sophie. So if you are interested in, if you're looking for yarn to purchase, just because you're looking for yarn to purchase. I'm not asking for people to support my dog, but just if you happen to be looking for destashing, I am destashing, and 100% of the proceeds will go to the dog. So, let's get back to the knitting podcast. So as I said, we now have Sophie, and if you are looking for me on Ravelry, I am Cristi-Lael, and on Instagram, I am Cristi-Lael without the dash. We also have a Relatively Crafty Podcast group on Ravelry, and I encourage you to go and check that out as well. Okay, so it is now Saturday, October 13th, and I have a couple of FOs to show you. The first one is the shawl that I was working on last time we talked. It was the Delicious Yarns shawl. The Delicious Yarns is the yarn that I used. I was asked to do a review of the yarn, and so I did that. I used the pattern that they provided for the yarn, which is the Piece of Cake shawl, which is a lovely pattern, and I really enjoyed making it. I also really enjoyed working with the yarn. So here is the shawl. I really like how it turned out. Oops. And it ends down here with some lace edging. I gotta move this bag. It keeps hitting me in the back of the head. Anyway, so here it is. I really enjoyed working with this yarn. As I said, it was so much fun to knit with. One thing that I will say, however, so this is Delicious Yarns. I did my review in last week's podcast proper, but I did forget to mention that that there is a coupon code for my viewers, so I will put that down here at the bottom of the screen, and I encourage you to check it out. So the Delicious Yarns is doing these pairings where they take two skeins and they pair them together. So this was pistachio and the other one was blueberry something. But this was a sport weight yarn that they sent me. So enjoyable to work with. But I will say that the pattern called for fingering weight yarn, and I did not have enough yarn to finish the pattern exactly. If you can kind of tell that there are these kind of striped wedges, and I was supposed to do a certain amount, but I did not have enough green to complete them all. So right here is where I ran out of the green, and so I had to kind of improvise. And so I just continued on with the blue, and then when it felt like it was a good time, I started the lace. Was able to do the complete amount of lace, but I wasn't able to make the shawl as long as the pattern called for because I ran out of the blue as well. Now what I did worked out perfectly, and I think it looks great. I'm very pleased with it, but it is a little bit smaller than the pattern originally called for. So just keep in mind that if you are looking to make this pattern with their pairings, you might want to get an extra skein. Or maybe, I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I really did enjoy knitting this. I'm sure that I will get a lot of use out of it. And yeah, the yarn was great. The pattern was well written. And the pattern was very easy to adjust. And easy to memorize, which is also good. I like those kinds of patterns. So enjoyable to work on. It changed enough so that I kept interested in it, and easy to adjust and easy to work on. So yeah. The other FO that I have, I actually don't have with me anymore. It was a baby gift for my coworker, and I was already late for her baby shower, and so I wanted to get it finished and to her as quickly as possible. But I did take some video of it, so hopefully I can put that in right here and you guys can see it. It is the Jones pattern by Tin Can Knits, which is a lovely cardigan, little old man cardigan, and I love little boys in little old man cardigans, so I was very keen to make this. Plus, this is a pattern that starts at 0 to 6 months and goes all the way up to 4X, so I can also make this for Ron. I knit it out of 3 Irish Girls DK in 2 colors that I can't remember, so I will put those down at the bottom of the screen. But they worked out so well together, and the yarn was a complete dream to work with. I do have enough left over of each skein to make a hat, so I might make myself a hat out of it. But yeah, I really enjoyed making it. The cables, you know, are fairly straightforward, which is lovely when you need to memorize. But what really impressed me about this pattern was the shawl collar. It was not exceptionally difficult, but it was ingenious. And I've knit several shawl collars over the past decade, and this was probably the best shawl collar that I've ever knit. The way that it sat and kind of laid was exactly right. You didn't have to fiddle with it. My rustique sweater, which I absolutely love to wear, I always have to kind of readjust the shawl because it kind of scoots up a little bit on me, and you don't have to do that with this one. At least I'm assuming. I didn't have to after I made it, but I didn't wear it. Anyway, it looked really good, and it sat so nicely. And I'm just really impressed with the pattern as a whole. So, so yeah, I highly recommend that. And it was so much fun to knit. It's so cute to knit for little babies. I don't want another baby, but I do enjoy knitting for them from time to time. Lastly, I finished a pair of socks. Yes. Yeah. I podcast a month ago and had my August socks, one pair of my August socks left to finish when I podcast at the beginning of September. And now here we are in October, and I only have one FO to show you, and they are the August socks. So that means that I did not finish any September socks, which is a first for me for a long time. But that's the way this month went, or last month went, I guess. But I will show you these. These were wonderful. So much fun to knit. This is the Helping Hippos colorway in the plush sock by Lolo Did It, with a little Lolo in Coal Miner's Daughter, I believe. This was the yarn that she dyed up, and all the proceeds were donated to hurricane relief last year. She did bring back this color this year and did again donate the proceeds to hurricane relief, which was awesome. So, so yeah, these are my August Lolo socks, or my August Hippo for the Holidays socks, I should say. I knit them with my regular recipe, a Turkish toe cast on. I did a fish lips kiss heel, 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And they're now going in my box for my Hippo socks. And I looked, I have Hippo for Christmas and Hippo for Hanukkah from last year in there as well. So there are 10 pairs of Hippo for the Holiday socks in there, and they just look so cute. I can't wait until the end of the year when I can pull them out and start wearing them. And it's not a requirement of the knit along to keep them set aside, but you do have to do a picture of them all at the end, and I like them to all look pretty. So I'm waiting to wear them until I can photograph them. So, as I mentioned, I did not finish any socks in September. I do have them going, but I haven't finished them. For my Hippo for the holiday for September, I opted to go with Hippo for Baby Yellow. Lauren did, I think, 8 different colorways with the Hippo for Baby theme, and they were kind of monochromatic. They had one main color with different shades. So there was Hippo for Baby Orange and Hippo for Baby Purple and Pink and Blue, and I bought a couple of them, not all of them. One of the ones that I bought that I was really excited about is Hippo for Baby Yellow, and look at that. Is that not awesome? That neon is just making me so happy. So this is sunglasses not included, the little Lolo, and this is Hippo for Baby Yellow in her plush sock base for little Lolo, for Lolo Did It. And as you can see, I am working my way through the leg. This is the first sock, so I still have another sock to knit, but I am making decent progress. I do, however, need to finish these quickly because the weather is just getting colder, which means that I am just wanting to knit sweaters more and more. And I don't want to fall behind on my socks now because it's October. So I have October, November, and then December with which to finish all of the socks that I need for the 2 knit-alongs that I am in. And that doesn't give me a whole lot of time. The other knit-along is the box of socks. I am knitting all of my box of socks out of Knitterly Things Vesper sock. And for that September sock, I'm a little bit further ahead. I do have the first sock finished. You guys might have seen this sock if you follow me on Instagram. I took it with us to the Denver Botanic Gardens a couple of weeks ago and worked on it there. This one is the same as the other Hippo socks that I showed you, except for that instead of a Fish Lips Kiss heel, it has an afterthought heel, a true afterthought heel. So yeah, really, really enjoying this colorway. not sure how well you can tell, but there's an orange stripe here and then a peach stripe here, which I think is great. And this is, as I said, Knitterly Things Vesper sock in her Rainbow of the Month from September 2017. The colorway is Autumnal Equinox. And so the first sock is finished, as I mentioned, and I have done the toe of the second sock, and I'm working on the foot. Hopefully, again, I can get some progress on that and get it done quickly. We're halfway through October. I'm halfway through my September socks. Part of the reason why I did not get much of my socks done in September is because I was working on that baby sweater, which was so much fun to knit, but did take me longer than expected, just simply because of my work schedule and my mental well-being at the time of knitting. So, so that did keep me slowed down a little bit. But the other reason why I didn't get a whole lot of socks knit recently is because I've been working on my sweater. You guys might recall this. This is the Blue Sands cardigan, and I'm knitting it out of Volmaiza DK. And I think last time we talked, I was probably about there. I was into the second orange stripe, but not very far. Or I was close to the end of it, but I hadn't finished it yet. And so here I have gotten the orange stripe done, and I have done all of the short rows shaping for the rear of the sweater. It's meant to be lower in the back than it is in the front, so you can see that the, oh geez, this is hard. You can see that the red here, red stripe in the front, is much shorter, narrower than here in the back. And then these are not oops holes. These are, this will be a pocket. And I am working on the border, the bottom hem, and about halfway through that now. So after I finish that, I will knit the pocket parts of my pockets, and then I will have to do the sleeves, and hopefully I'll be able to get this finished pretty soon. I feel much more encouraged to work on it, partly because I am so far through it, but also because it's getting cold outside. In fact, tomorrow we're supposed to have our first real snowstorm. It's supposed to be, I think the warmest it's supposed to be is like 29 degrees. And it's supposed to snow like most of the day. So I do love the snow, and I'm very excited for the snowfall, but I wish that it would come in November after all the leaves have fallen, because unfortunately it freezes the autumn leaves, and then they no longer change color. They just die and fall off the tree, which is always kind of a bummer. But yeah, so I'm making good progress on that, and that is all that I have on the needles right now. I would like to show you my my October socks that should already be wound and ready to be knit, but are not. But hey, that's how I roll. For my box of socks, I am picking out this skein. This is Vesper sock, obviously, Knitterly Things Vesper sock in the colorway Hocus Pocus. It is an old deep stash. I've had this in my stash for a long time, and it's very obviously October Halloween colors, and so I'm excited to finally knit it up. It's only a 3-striper. You'll notice that the other more recent of her stripes that I've been knitting have, you know, 4, 5, and 6 colors. This is only 3, but that is okay. It's still going to be awesome. It's going to be great Halloween socks. And then for my Lolo Did It Hippos for the Holiday, I am knitting Hippo for Baby Orange, which is absolutely gorgeous. I'm pairing this with a Blazing Sevens Lil Lolo. This is probably my favorite of her colorways. It's such a great orange. And then this is Hippo for Baby Orange, which is also beautiful. So yeah, those will be my October socks. I'm hoping to get those at least wound today so that I'm ready to work on them. Okay, so for haul, I have some more Lolo Did It to show you. These will be probably be the November and December socks. For November, I'm going to knit Hippo for Halloween with a Wonka mini. This is a new colorway for this year. It's completely different than our Hippo for Halloween last year, which is kind of cool. And she put out Hippo for Thanksgiving 2018 just recently. I think I got an email about that yesterday. It's supposed to be different than last year too. So I'm like, well, maybe I don't know. We'll see. But I also got Hippo for Baby Blue with a blue suede shoes mini. And this is also really gorgeous. So I was actually thinking about making this for December. It is kind of reminiscent of Hanukkah, but the Hippo for Hanukkah. But I think I used Elba Island for the toes, so I think using the blue suede shoes instead. Elba Island is like this shade. Using the darker blue suede shoes, I think will differentiate between those two socks. Hopefully. Ron and I went on our anniversary weekend trip. Our 20th anniversary was on September 19th. And we went to Leadville, Colorado, which is a couple of hours drive from here. It is, let's see, Molly Brown, that's where she made her money, made her fortune. And Doc Holliday spent some time there. The Tabors, Horace and Baby Doe Tabor ran Leadville for the longest time. They had so much money in silver. Unfortunately, they lost it all before they passed away and kind of died penniless, both of them, which is kind of rough. But yeah, it's just a great old historic town known for its silver mines. We were supposed to be there for the entire weekend, but Ron got altitude sickness. Unfortunately, it's a full mile ahead of us, above us. We are the Mile High City in Denver, and Leadville is at 10,000 feet, so it's a mile higher than we are, and it just caught Ron wrong, and so we ended up coming home a day early. But as I said, we went to the Denver Botanic Gardens instead on Sunday, which I think was great. It was actually probably a better way to spend the rest of the weekend. So we spent Saturday in Leadville and enjoyed that. We got to stay one night at the Delaware Hotel, which has been there for 150 years or something like that, and maybe just 100 years. No, yeah. And that was the hotel that Doc Holliday stayed at, so that was kind of cool. And then we came home Saturday night and were able to spend Sunday at the Denver Botanic Gardens, which is gorgeous, by the way. But while we were in Leadville, I stopped off. They have one very small, very, very small yarn shop. It's actually... it has several different types of crafts there, but they had some yarn, and they had a local dyer. So I picked up a skein of that dyer, and this is Gem Valley Fiber Arts, which is dyed in Leadville. The colorway is River Rock, and it's a sock set, as you can see. So looking forward to knitting that up as a memento of our anniversary. And then lastly, this just came in the mail today. I was contacted a couple of days ago by Lauren at Lolo Did It. I had offered a while back, last year sometime, to test knit for her if she needed it. And she contacted me and asked me to do some. So I'm going to knit her a shawl, which I'm very, very excited about. Now, I cannot show you the pattern. The pattern is secret, super secret pattern for right now. You will be able to see it in January, but I can show you the yarn, and I'm super excited about working with the yarn. So this is a base that I haven't used before. This is her Dreamy base, which is 70% superwash merino, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere, so it's super soft. It's like butter. This first colorway is Florine Fortescue's. Florine Fortescue's. That was hard for me to say. And I think it is absolutely gorgeous. Such a pretty colorway. And I am pairing it with this lovely. This is Every Flavor Bean. So obviously Harry Potter. I think they're both Harry Potter, honestly. They're awesome. I'm so keen. So yes, so be on the lookout for this. This will be coming up here pretty soon. I will not be able to show you any details of the knit, but I can at least kind of show you it in a jumble, I guess. And then also keep an eye out for this. This is a review that I'm going to be doing for Zen Yarn Gardens. This is going to be a shawl, and I just need to find the right pattern for it, and I will be getting that going soon. I think that it was one of Andrea Mowry's fades I was thinking about, like maybe going, it's like Freer fade. It was one of her 3-color fade. It was a 3-color fade. And I was thinking about doing it like this, with this is 1, 2, and 3. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. You think that would make a nice fade? And that's it. Let's talk about books. If you're just here for the knitting, well, no. Before we talk about books, let me talk about the minis Advent swap that I wanted to do. Last year, I had gotten an Advent from Adelaide's Cottage, which was so much fun to open. But I was watching some of the knitting podcasts that I watched that did Vlogmas, and so many of them had several different Advents to open, and I thought, I wish I could have gotten more. So I noticed that some of them were swaps that they had done, and I thought, what a great idea. So I asked you guys last year if anybody would be interested in doing an Advent mini swap, and I did get a good result. Several people were interested, and so I said, okay, well, I'll do one, and then I kind of forgot about it. I was reminded in my last podcast about it, and I definitely want to do it. So I'm going to set up a thread in the Ravelry group before I get this video up, and ask for people who want to be part of the swap to sign up. Now, it's going to be very low-key on my end. There won't be a lot of rules. The main rules will be, don't be a jerk and send your swap to your swap partner. That'll be basically it. You will need to send 24 10-gram sock minis of indie, of LYS quality. So it needs to be yarn that would be sold in an LYS, a local yarn shop, not yarn that's come from Michael's or Joann's, a higher quality yarn. And a decent amount of it needs to be indie dyed yarn. You're more than welcome to add, Regia or Opal, but try to keep it more indie dyed yarns, just so that everybody kind of gets the same yarn back as they're sending out. So it's not going to be a round robin where person A sends to person B sends to person C sends to person D. It'll be pairing, so persons A and B will be sending to each other. So I'm going to pair you guys up, and you can talk with your partner about what it is that you guys wish to swap with each other. You at least have to send 24 10-gram sock minis, as I mentioned, but if you guys want to send a full skein for December 25th, or if you guys decide that you want to send 20-gram minis instead, or if you want to add little special progress keepers or candies or other goodies in there as well, that is entirely between your partner and yourself. I do ask that if you agree to do that with your partner, that you follow through. Again, please don't be a jerk. Follow through with your swap. But yeah, the bare minimum is 24 10-gram indie dyed minis that are individually wrapped for Christmas, so that your partner can open them on each day of December for the Advent. And yeah, that's basically going to be it. I'm going to keep the things open, keep the signups open until the beginning of November, the first day of November, and then we will, I'll send out your partners, and you'll need to make sure that you ship in time to, so your partner can get it before December 1. So yeah, so I'm hoping that people will be interested in that. I'm looking forward to it. And I don't want you to think that you have to buy new yarn for this. This is so that you can kind of use up some of your leftovers. You know, just pull 10 grams off of it, skein it up, and send it. You don't need to buy 24 new skeins just to send 10 grams. You don't have to even take 10 grams out of the full skeins that you have up in your stash. Just take some of your leftovers from socks that you've made and make it into little minis and send it to your partner. That's the important thing. So that is all the yarn stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about books, and then I'm going to sign off. So if you're just here for the yarn, that is it, and you are free to go. I don't have a lot to say about books. I've been reading, but a little bit slower than normal. I recently finished, for my book club, which was actually today, our meeting, Mrs. Westaway, or The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. I was very much looking forward to this book. I read, it's kind of nice sitting right next to my bookshelves. I can find these things so quickly. I read The Woman in Cabin 10, which was also by Ruth Ware first, earlier this year, and really enjoyed it. I listened to it on audio. And then I read The Lion Game, which is her third book. The Woman in Cabin 10 is her second book. I didn't like this quite as much, but I kind of chalked it up to the narrator. However, The Death of Mrs. Westaway, which is her most recent book, just came out a couple of months ago, maybe even not a couple of weeks ago. I was not quite as engaged with this one. It wasn't a bad story, but I think because I was distracted and had a lot of things going on at work, I wasn't able to really get myself immersed in the story. I was never able to read more than 20 or 30 pages a night, and so I never really got really invested in it. So I think that might have something to do with it. I am going to hold on to this copy. I might listen to the audiobook maybe in a year or so and try it again. A lot of the people in my book club said that the audiobook was amazing. So we'll see. I think part of the reason that, another part of the reason that I didn't really get that much out of it is because I kind of guessed the twist way too early in the book. So the book that I'm reading right now, I am part of a hold shelf surprise program. So I signed up for it with my local library, and what it basically is once a month, a librarian puts a book for me on the hold shelf and lets me know that it's there, and I can go and read it. And, you know, they're obviously trying to get books that are ones that I'm going to be keen on, so they asked me a couple of questions about the genres I like and the authors I like and ones that I really hate, and each month they, you know, kind of asked me a couple of questions to see how much I liked it, to kind of adjust. And this has been going on since July? June, July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, June, because next month is the last one. And I have to say that with the exception of maybe the first month, every book has been really, really good. And the first month, the book was good. It just wasn't really, really good. So, I think once I got a book that I'd already read, but it was a book that I loved when I read it. And 2 times I got books that I hadn't read, but I had on my shelves. So it really encouraged me to read them, and I was able to read them and then move them from my to-be-read shelf to my already-read shelf, which was lovely, and I loved them. Recently, the past 2 months have been books that I have not read, nor have I heard of, which is always really nice. And this is the September book, The Hollow Tree by James Brogden. It's a horror book about a woman, Rachel, who has an accident and loses her hand, her left hand. This is my right hand, but I'm holding the book with my left hand. And she starts feeling sensations with her missing hand and realizes that she's able to pull things from some other place with her missing hand. And she ends up pulling a woman out of this other place, and that's about as far as I've gotten. Things are bad. It was not a good thing to pull this woman through, but I am enjoying it. I'm a little bit over halfway through, and it's actually really good. It's an author I as I said, I'd never heard of, and so I'm gonna have to check his stuff out more. I'm really enjoying it. And then I'm very much looking forward to the October book, which is the Sacrifice Box, and this is the little sticker that they put on to kind of give me some information about it. But look at the cover of this book. Is it not? It's perfect. And on the back it says, "You broke the rules, now you'll have to pay." I don't know anything else about it. It's by Martin Stewart. It says here, combines creepy with 80s nostalgia. Think Stranger Things or Stephen King, which I really enjoy the show Stranger Things, and I like Stephen King. So I'm looking forward to reading that. As soon as I finish The Hollow Tree, I'll be getting on to that one. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys, this is, well, I was going to say this is not a book for reading, but it is a book for reading. I got an Artfold a while back. If you're not familiar with an Artfold, they are books. They're real books. This is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and but they're special. They're meant that the pages are folded to make a design or a word on the inside of the book. So you can kind of see here these darker spots. That tells me where I'm supposed to fold the book. And you can see I've started. I've had this for a long time. I've had this for like 3 years. I don't know why it's taking me so long to finally fold it, but I have started. When it's done, it will say read. Is that not cool? So yeah, I'm finally folding it. I did order another one recently that is, it's a Hans Christian Andersen book, and it folds into a snowflake. So I think it's the Snow Queen story, and I'm going to fold that and put it on my desk at work for winter. So yeah, that is, that's all I got to talk about this time. I'm going to go ahead and get this edited, hopefully today, and I can get it ready for you guys, and get the thread for the, excuse me, for the mini swap up as well, and yeah, hopefully we can do some swapping. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and happy knitting. Bye.